o'clock. We have we have two new members, actually, at the PUC, and I'll let them introduce themselves.
My name is Bill Hansen. I actually don't live in Grand Marais, but I'm allowed to be on this commission because I'm a customer of the Grand Marais electricity utility. But I live very close to Grand Marais. My property line is actually the city limit. I just happen to live on the outside of it on 7th Avenue East, on the east side of Grand Marais. I've lived in the county for a long time and mostly in the West End, but I've been in Grand Marais since 2016, I think. 16 or 17.
Thank you for signing up.
And I'm Charles Hathaway. I am living actually in Grand Marais, up 1st Street and 5th Avenue, and been here full-time for the last couple of years. And my wife's been up here for 7 years, on and off. So sort of feeling like home at this point.
Thank you, Charles. And also we have Shane and Tom Nelson from the Water Department is here. So I guess we need to have a motion, or let's see, approve the minutes from the previous meeting. And I mean, you guys can read them. I mean, you weren't at those meetings, but I was the only one there. So I don't know I don't have anything to change on that. So if we could have a motion to approve the previous.
So moved.
Okay, just make a motion. We have a motion.
Second.
Second, okay. Motion passes. Let's see, what else we got to approve the meeting, approve the agenda, minutes. We have to have a motion to, can we do that all at once, all three of those? Or?
You can, yeah, the
Yeah.
consent agenda.
Let's just approve the consent agenda. So I think that's basically kind of what we just did.
We'll call it that.
Okay.
Everybody think that works?
Let's
I'm
just do
agreeable with
all
that.
three of those at one time, because it's pretty much. And we welcome the new commissioners, and now we have the discussion. We're going to talk about the water control system upgrade.
Yeah,
Tom?
I'm Tom Nelson. I run the water wastewater departments. I've been here for 32 years. So I'm not all history, but we're quite a bit of the history. The current history. Back in 1992, the water treatment plant was rehabilitated like 100%. And so that's what, 30 years ago. The control panels are getting old. There's some parts we can't get. There's like an emergency alarm system that dials out that isn't functioning. And it's still working fine, pretty much. But the biggest problem right now is the communication between the towers. Now, the water treatment plant is down on the lake in the campground at the very end. Right above the hospital, you'll see these two silver domes. That's a reservoir system. And then the one on the Moose Tower going up to Gunflint, that's another reservoir system. Well, throughout the course of history, they communicate via telephone line. They call it a telemetry line. It's just a hard copper single strand, line that connects, and there's two of them that connect everything together. So when the level of one gets a certain level, the contrip pumps at the water plant or the middle reservoir tells it to come on and off. Well, the supplier of the line has not been real great at maintaining the line for us. And even this year we've had 2 interruptions of the service of the line. One took over a week to get addressed. Even to get a fix-it ticket is like pulling teeth. There's probably 1,000 feet of it that lays right on top of the ground versus up in the poles. So for reliability and just modern upgrade, I'd like to get those replaced. So
What's when you say a fix-it ticket is hard to get? What does
I
that?
call into the phone company to get it fixed because they're dedicated circuits. They have different codes and IDs, and nobody can figure it out. I mean, it takes hours.
I think they designed their maintenance system that way
Yeah.
to obfuscate.
Well, in recent years, I know wired telephone service has gone way downhill nationwide.
It's not the workers here, the techs. If they get the ticket,
Right.
they'll get it done. But they don't even get you can't get the work ticket
Yeah.
generated. Like I say, there's some older people that know how to, jump the system, but it's more just, I think it's more of their software glitches that someone's sitting at a terminal in Idaho, they can't figure it out.
Yeah.
And then they just let it go. It doesn't get done.
So do you think that replacing the landline system with, cell service, is that going to be, do you figure it's going to be more reliable or the same, or what do you
It'll
think?
be more reliable because lots of times it gets cut. Like this one, a snowmobile ran over it this
Yeah.
winter and wrecked it. Animals eat it. We've had truckers pull it off the poles. I mean, we had lawnmowers hit it, and now it runs through where the new dog park is going to go. It's on the ground in the dog park.
Going through that
Yeah, so it's,
line.
yeah, the line runs through there, so.
I don't know anything about these systems, but the question that jumped out at me is why not use wireless technology, which
We're gonna. The new
It'll be
system will be wireless.
Oh, okay.
That's part of the package of the new control panel system.
No, but I mean, not,
Before?
so you wouldn't have to, like, Wi-Fi, I meant not wireless,
Yeah.
but Wi-Fi, so you wouldn't have to pay $60 a month for a cell line.
Yeah, the cell service, I think, is only like $20 a line a month versus we were paying $70 a month for the hard.
Yeah, way cheaper, but,
But I don't know if, a lot of it is because the terrain where we're at, it doesn't always go. We had old studies do where they wanted to put they needed to find line of sight, the old stuff to get things to bounce around, but
yeah.
I would just do the cell.
But, isn't it, those facilities don't have fiber to them, fiber optic cable to them?
I think the upper one might have had it put in when Arrowhead did it, but the other ones don't. So.
That probably explains it then.
But that's not free either, so Arrowhead.
You still have to pay for the service to the,
Yes.
They do send us a bill.
yeah.
And that's like the background, that's what we need. One thing I talked to Mike about, down the road, if they choose to make it more automated, like a full SCADA control system where the computer can run itself, we can monitor the computer. You still got to go there and make sure everything works, but this new system is capable of fully supervisory data control and acquisition. So.
So it's a new panel getting installed as well as the new?
Three. There's three different pieces that have to go in, yeah. One at each reservoir, because they have to talk to each other. There's pumps in the middle one that pump to the upper one, so I mean there's back and forth throughout the course.
But the SCADA system would be based at the plant, not.
If you do a full base SCADA, you can have it on your phone. Most people can even do that nowadays. It'd be probably, we operate two plants, the water plant and the wastewater plant, plus all the distribution. So most of our office work is at the wastewater plant. So there'd be a computer there where you can look at it.
Yeah.
See, like right now, let's say if there was something happened, it was a leak on a line in the upper reservoir, and we didn't know about it, and if it was a big leak, it could drain the reservoir. Before we get there, we wouldn't get alarmed to go figure out what's going on. You're going to run the hospital out of water, school out of water, right away. So that's part of the safety and part of the issue. Let alone the overtime that we're running back and forth doing things.
I'm sorry about all the questions here.
That's okay.
Yeah. So there's the upper, there's the tower,
Mhm.
and the two lower reservoirs.
Yep.
Do each of those have their own distribution system, or does like the tower flow to the reservoir one, flow to reservoir two, and then out to the distribution system?
They have their own distribution areas because of the pressure difference in our hill.
Yeah.
But they all are tied together through pressure reducer stations. So a drop of water that goes to the Moose Tower could eventually feed downtown if it had to through a pressure reducer station. But we have actually 3 pressure zones that are split. Some zones are tied from high to low, but most of them are tied from high to middle, and then middle to low. Because otherwise, with the elevation, we would have 180 to 190 pounds of PSI downtown if we didn't have these pressure reducer stations and split the system.
I see.
Now, the middle system can't feed, or the middle reservoir where the silver domes cannot feed the upper two systems. You know,
But it can feed them through pumping up.
it has to pump to the top.
Yep.
Yeah, but it can't feed directly out of those
Right.
to those systems. And the hospital is on the upper system, so that's a critical link between even though the water's right there in that tank right next to them, they can't use that water.
Yep.
There's no pressure to get it to them, so.
Well, I'd move approval of the request for,
One thing we also wanted to reiterate, we usually try and get 2 quotes on a lot of these things, but the engineer that gave me this quote, it's not even the same company, but it's the same engineer. They just moved, they designed the initial one. So the integration between like our chemical feed pumps and all that stuff will be a lot more seamless and put together. So otherwise, we try and get 2 to compare, so, you know, it's just for safety. You can say, how come you got one? He could have been a high bidder, or is my friend, or something like that, so.
you feel like this is a fair price?
Yeah, and actually, even the salesman who runs my area, the engineer came up here and he goes, I can't believe you got such a good price. Even the salesman that wanted to sell it to me thought it'd be $100 grand, easy for what we're getting, so.
So I'll move approval at the price listed on your request.
Thank you.
You need a second?
Yeah.
Second.
Be a second. And this includes, I see it includes all the
Yeah, even the electrician.
The electrician- the
Yeah, they'll
electrical-
bring their own electrician.
they bring their own, okay. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 The last note on Tom's memo is worth mentioning too.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're doing great. The project can't be paid for by ARPA funds the
Right.
city has already received. So the city did receive an allotment of federal money, and this is one of the areas that we're allowed to spend it. It's actually kind of difficult for us to find places to spend it, you know, because of the services that we provide aren't necessarily lining up with the types of things the federal government wanted this money to be used for. But water is one, so we looked at making potential improvements to the water treatment plant itself, fixing the roof, replacing the media filters, and then this came up in the meantime. So we're pivoting away from that, at least for now, into this. And this is about 2/3 or so of the money
And
that.
ARPA stands for Arrowhead Regional,
No, this is,
no?
It's like the COVID money they put out.
yeah.
Infrastructure-
American Recovery
infrastructure relief.
Something.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's federal.
It's federal.
It's federal
COVID
money.
Relief money. So,
Yeah.
I mean, we're getting 100 grand and the feds gave away $1 trillion. So,
And
So
this
you still-
project,
So it's not actually a budget item in our budget.
No, we
this
were
project-
planning on making this change, but
Yeah.
it's good timing.
Is there a point at which we lose that money, the extra 30,000?
I got more plans.
Probably. We're not gonna have, yeah, I mean, we can go back and fix the roof on the water treatment plant and the media filters, and
Yeah,
it's no problem spending the rest of it.
yeah. No, I mean, it's just,
Yeah.
we don't want to.
Timeline, yeah, I don't know if there's a timeline.
I don't think we're anywhere near a timeline if
There
there's.
probably is, but yeah, it's probably 5 years or something.
Good,
right.
yeah.
Now we're open to
So
questions.
we have, motion passes, I guess. Any other questions on what Tom presented? I mean, it's kind of nice to
I do look forward to
be
getting
able
a
to
tour.
get this stuff fixed, yeah.
We'll wait till some of the snow
Yeah, that's
dissipates.
a good idea.
So June or so.
Yeah,
Maybe.
Yeah.
spring, July.
He's
What
got
did I
indoor
say?
things to tour as well.
What did I say? We're gonna have a first annual Winterfest in June this year.
Yeah. Could well be.
So, and what's the timeline for installing, getting this all?
I mean, as soon as I tell them they can go and start building it, I don't know how long it'll take them to get it. I think most of their stuff, I would imagine they have on hand. Hopefully none of this stuff is a supply chain issue. we have other supply chain issues with other aspects of the electric and the water and wastewater
Okay.
department that we're dealing with, so.
Yeah, we find some parts are 6 to 12 weeks out, and some parts are 6 to 12 weeks out for 10 months. So,
Yeah, or a year and a
A
half.
year and a half. yeah.
What did, I don't know if I heard right, but I was just talking to Lyman Jeff Eliason,
Electrical stuff
and they ordered some transformers, and he said they were, I thought, 70 weeks out.
Yeah.
for transformers?
70 weeks,
Wow.
and the price tripled.
Hmm.
And I ordered hydrants and valves and stuff like that, and it takes months. So if you're gonna plan on fixing anything, if you don't have a stockpile, you can't even fix it. You gotta band-aid it together, whatever you can, just to you get parts.
I'm just curious, how did we get hooked up with a firm in New Prague?
Yeah.
Well,
That's
you know we live in nowhere, so it doesn't matter where you go.
It's gonna
We
be
have to
far
go.
away.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah.
But they
You
got-
can get there in 5 hours pretty easy.
Yeah. And actually, the guy that owns, one of the owners is from Grand Rapids, one of the salesmen is from Grand Rapids, and they do other work too. They service stuff, you know. We don't always use their service. We have other people that we like to use too. And so, I mean, people are spread out around the state. They're mobile.
Yeah. And what kind of a, what's a general, what's the business of this company, Quality Flow, in general? Are they
They
specifically
do
water
control and
treatment?
automation, and they do like lift stations. They do control panels. They'll like do pumps.
Yeah.
We had them put pumps in the lift station in the city campground, the big campground. We had them put new pumps in there. We had a different company, we bought pumps for at the wastewater plant. So we mix it up, we get bids, and whatever matches the existing engineered design, you know, that we try and get, or a match to it, you know, so. If it comes for like a 25 horse pump that can push so much, you know, you gotta try and match that to get all the piping in and stuff, so.
So they're like a water, wastewater supply
Yep,
maintenance kind of
Yep.
place. Again, sorry about all the questions.
they don't,
That's what you're here for.
yeah. They're mostly, putting in the pumps. They won't build a concrete structure. You know, they don't build, they're not builders.
Yep.
You know, so like I know they did a big project up in International Falls, actually out on the Rainy Lakeside. They put in 120 some grinder stations, you know, like little individual pump stations, and you know, they supplied the parts and the startup for the pumps, but another contractor put in all the piping, all the pits and stuff like that. So
So they're not pipes and concrete, they're more just like fixtures or
Yeah.
equipment, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
if a general contractor got a job, they would put out to these kind of people to get their bid for their pumps and their control panels and their
Yeah.
stuff.
Okay. Any more questions? I think, thank you, Tom.
Yeah.
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 Well, next month we'll have our line workers here, and we're gonna talk about the electric substation. So, there'll be all kinds of neat stuff.
This is the new one? The new substation, or no?
It is the only one. I guess we would call it the new one, but it was actually built in the late 90s.
Okay.
So,
That's
There's-
also over at by the boat landing, that one?
It's behind the Aspen
It's
Lodge,
It's
Oh.
up behind
or Aspen
the
Inn on top of the hill.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
behind where the
Oh,
Super 8
okay.
used to be.
Oh, yeah.
It's just below your house.
Yeah, I can picture it.
There's a generator in there.
If you run through the woods
Yeah,
south,
yeah,
you're gonna
yeah,
hit it.
yeah.
That the agenda here also has what we call the payments report.
Oh.
So, a few years ago, we stopped having twice monthly PUC meetings. Maybe it's more than a few years ago now. So we really didn't have enough business to justify it. But the Utilities Commission at that point was also approving all of their payments prior to us making them. And we transferred that over to the city council to have them go ahead and approve all the payments before we send them out. And then we will provide you with this monthly report of the payments that were approved and sent out. So that's just what it's in there for, your information. Your role in that is just to be another set of eyes on this, review that list. If you ever have any questions about those payments, you can ask them in the meeting, or you can call us, or stop by City Hall, and we're happy to show you an invoice and talk about it with you if you have any questions.
So, okay, again, just a matter of curiosity, so SMMPA, payment to SMMPA, $346, it seems like that's,
Why would we only pay them that?
exactly.
So usually it's the monthly bill for wholesale power, which we pay them, is $100,000 to $175,000.
Yeah.
This bill is for, they're actually a middle man between us and Missouri River Energy Services, who are handling the data management for our electric meters. So MRES does that data management for a number of their own communities, and also a handful of SIMPA member communities, where we have our AMI meters send the data to MRES, and they can then help us operate our meters, and they charge us a monthly fee for that through SIMPA, because their contract is with SIMPA.
Thanks.
And that's all we got.
Then, a motion to adjourn?
Go for
You
it.
have any other questions? I
So
mean,
moved.
more, okay.
A lot of questions, but
Well, there's
another day.
gonna be plenty of things to learn, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Everybody
I looked at the Minnesota Municipal Utility Association site. They had a lot of good information on
Yeah.
there, and I read through, or skimmed through the laws requiring, the laws that apply to these types of boards. So that's what I did for background. Got some good information there, interesting. It says right on their site, this is an association of organizations, large and small, mostly small.
Mostly
small.
including us.
Yep.
And so I don't know if the meeting's over or not, doesn't,
Well, you haven't seconded.
oh, second the motion.
Oh, second.
Adjourn.